Welcome back to the channel, bringing you the latest news from around the world. First of all, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for more updates. Why are there not more people talking about the Supreme Court's latest showdown over gun rights and marijuana? The marble halls of the Supreme Court echoed with a silence that felt heavier than stone. Outside, a nation held its breath, divided and waiting. This was a day of reckoning for one of America's most sacred and contested rights. The right to keep and bear arms. Protesters gathered on the steps, their signs a patchwork of competing slogans. Protect our kids, clashing with don't tread on me. Inside, the 9 justices prepared to deliver a decision that would ripple through every state and community. The question, can a marijuana user lose their gun rights under federal law, even if marijuana is legal in their state? Can states declare nearly all private businesses off limits to lawful gun carriers? The stakes were enormous. Gun rights versus public safety. Federal power versus state autonomy. The court's decision would either expand or restrict the Second Amendment, setting a precedent for generations. The gavel was about to fall, and with it, the future of gun rights in the United States. The Supreme Court is the final word on American law, its decisions binding from coast to coast. When lower courts clash, the justices step in to resolve the chaos. The 2022 Bruin decision set a new standard: gun laws must align with the nation's historical tradition. This test has thrown gun laws into disarray, with courts and citizens unsure of the rules. The 2 cases before the court now force a reckoning. Will the history test protect broad gun rights, or allow states more power to regulate? Millions of Americans are watching. Gun owners, business owners, lawmakers. The ruling will decide if medical marijuana users can own guns, and if businesses must opt out or in to allow firearms. This decision sets the new baseline for gun policy nationwide. The first case, United States versus Himani, challenged a federal law banning gun ownership for anyone using a controlled substance, even if it's legal in their state. With marijuana legal in many states but illegal federally, millions found themselves in legal limbo. The Justice Department argued the ban was about public safety, but critics said it punished responsible, law-abiding citizens. The second case, Wolford versus Lopez, questioned whether states can ban guns by default on most private property open to the public. Hawaii's law required explicit permission to carry, which gun rights advocates argued made self-defense rights meaningless in public spaces. The state claimed it was about safety and property rights. Opponents called it a backdoor ban. Both cases asked, where do we draw the line between public safety, property rights, and the Second Amendment? The court was set to decide. The arguments revealed a deep divide. Gun control advocates see restrictions as essential for public safety, pointing to gun violence and the need for common-sense laws. They argue the Second Amendment isn't absolute and must be balanced with the government's duty to protect citizens. For gun rights supporters, the right to bear arms is fundamental. Restrictions only disarm the law-abiding, not criminals. They see bans on marijuana users and default gun bans on private property as government overreach. They argue there's no historical precedent for such broad disarmament. For them, the default should be liberty, not restriction. The Supreme Court had to weigh these competing visions of American freedom. In a stunning move, the Supreme Court delivered a unanimous decision. The justices struck down the federal ban on gun ownership for all marijuana users, finding no historical basis for such a broad restriction. They ruled that using marijuana, legal in many states, doesn't automatically make someone dangerous or unfit to own a gun. In the Wolford case, the court found Hawaii's law unconstitutional. States can't declare nearly all private property off-limits to lawful gun carriers. The default must be that licensed carry is permitted, unless a property owner posts clear signage to prohibit firearms. The court left room for targeted regulations. Laws can still disarm those proven dangerous or actively intoxicated. The ruling wasn't a blanket expansion of gun rights, but a rejection of broad, categorical bans. Private property owners retain the right to prohibit guns on their premises. The decision clarified the Bruin standard and set new limits on government power. The message, individual rights matter, but so do targeted, evidence-based regulations. The Supreme Court's decision sent shockwaves through the country. For gun owners, especially those using state-legal marijuana, it's a landmark victory. The ATF and federal prosecutors must now revise their rules. Businesses must decide whether to post "no firearms" signs, shifting responsibility to property owners. Law enforcement and lawmakers are scrambling to adapt, with future gun laws needing to be more specific and evidence-based. The ruling clarifies the right to carry for self-defense, while preserving the ability of states to target truly dangerous individuals. The debate over guns in America is far from over, but the rules have changed. The Supreme Court has demanded a more individualized, history-focused approach. The Great American Gun Debate enters a new era.